Good afternoon, Canastota. I'm SHAWN, BISSETTA, Superintendent of the Canastota Central School District, and this is the Friday, June 5th edition of our weekly school operations video update series. As always, let's start by reviewing updated numbers on our meal distribution operation. I'm pleased to announce that through Thursday, June 4th, 93,126 meals have been served to our students, with an average of 685 students receiving meals on a daily basis since the beginning of the school shutdown period. Today's distribution will once again include meals for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Next week we will continue with our Monday, Wednesday, Friday distribution. Thanks to all of our staff for helping us continue this vital service. We continue to monitor guidance coming out of Albany regarding end-of-year ceremonies and are still hopeful that we will be able to hold an in-person graduation ceremony. In the meantime, we are continuing to plan a variety of graduation options which can be implemented depending on what restrictions we will be living under by graduation time. I, along with many other schools throughout the state, continue to be frustrated by the mixed messages and late notification coming from elected officials regarding what we can or can't do. If you've been following the news, you probably saw that a nearby district actually had their ceremony shut down on the spot as it was happening by county officials, something I've never seen or have never heard of in my 20 years as a public school administrator. We are in clearly unprecedented times. Again, I want to be completely clear on this point. The state has repeatedly held off providing any concrete guidance to allow for adequate planning. At every step of the way, for lack of direction, we start to plan only to have to change course at the 11th hour due to a way too late order coming from the state. I know people are frustrated, but nobody is more frustrated than I am. All day, every day, I feel questions related to this issue. The problem is, it's not our decision to make, but the lack of timely directions means wasted effort for many members of the school staff as we plan for multiple scenarios so as not to be caught flat-footed by the time direction is actually given, which leads to frustration for students and their families. Again, I want to reiterate that the fact that we will have a great ceremony in whatever its final form is, in spite of the total lack of support and timely direction coming from the decision makers. And we will make sure it's done legally and safely. The good news is, because we're ready to pivot in several directions, we still have time to make adjustments over the next couple of weeks. Nothing, I repeat, nothing is finalized. We still have time to do what is best for Canastota. I spent a lot of time talking about senior graduation in recent weeks, but let's also remember that we have many other students also reaching important milestones. Over the coming days, we will be recognizing many of our students getting ready to move up to new buildings. So to our first graders getting ready to move to the south side, our third graders moving up to Robert Street, and the sixth graders ready to tackle the junior senior high, congratulations to you and to your family. Along with our senior graduation, please remember that there are numerous other end-of-year celebrations occurring that will acknowledge the hard work and accomplishments of all of our students getting ready to take their next big step. Please check out the district website and correspondence from each building principal regarding the details of these exciting events. And if you see any of these students, congratulate them on a job well done under difficult circumstances. As we head into the home stretch of this unusual school year, we'd like to provide you with an update on the status of our technology and remote learning program. As you know, learning had to look different with virtually no advance notice when schools were forced to close back in March. I've asked Assistant Superintendent Chris Clancy to give you an update on how our remote learning initiative has played out in recent weeks, and also give you a glimpse into the future regarding what to expect in our instructional programs moving into the next school year.
Thank you, Sean. Good afternoon, Canastota. I'm Chris Clancy. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Special Education, RTI, and Technology. And I have an opportunity today to give everyone an update and a little bit of a summary of our remote learning that has occurred since March. So what I'll do is I'll share some information with you and hope to give you kind of a glimpse into the whole picture and how things have gone for us and for our students and our staff for the last few months. So in March, things very abruptly changed for really for everyone connected to the school district. So for staff, for parents, for students, things changed very quickly, and we had to respond. And I want to commend our students and our staff, and certainly our parents for the support that they've provided very quickly and with not a whole lot of preparation to support students and to support remote learning from home. So our timeline has kind of developed over time, and what we've tried to do with each phase of delivery or each phase of instruction is to try to learn from the previous phase and be reflective about the things that went well and about the things that we wanted to do better, and try to respond to some of the concerns that we were hearing from parents and from students, and hopefully we were able to meet some of those needs and to respond to some of those concerns. And so we've done that through each of these phases of learning, and I'm glad we've been able to deliver content that way in order to be responsive. So I think it's important to kind of look at our remote learning in some different ways and through some different lenses. There were certainly a lot of challenges that we were presented with when school closed and when we had to try to make sure that our students were able to continue learning from home and with the support of their parents. And so what I've done here is just kind of collected some of the feedback that I've gotten from staff and parents and from students about about challenges. These are the things that have been difficult for us to face or to respond to, because I think it's important to acknowledge that. And in addition to that, there were a lot of things that were really, we hadn't considered that were really positive. There were a lot of good things that happened as a result of remote learning. I think some of the challenges that have been presented are things like being able to engage with every family has been difficult. We recognize that we have a lot of students, we have a large population of students who really respond well to hands-on learning, and in many ways remote learning doesn't really lend itself to that. We've done our best to try to respond to the fact that we recognize that not all of our families have internet access, and we've tried to provide that to them, but we know that we haven't been able to provide that to everyone. On the other hand, there were a lot of things that have come from this experience that are very positive, and things that have caused us to kind of take a step back and reflect a little bit differently. So, one of the things that happens in a situation like this is that everyone is disrupted. And when people are disrupted, it does cause us to think differently and to try to problem solve. And I think, in fact, I know that we've done a lot of problem solving in the last few months to try to respond to some of the things that have come up. And I think creativity on the behalf of students and teachers and folks that work with school has really flourished, because we've had to become very creative with how we're going to present content to students. In many ways, even though we're not having face-to-face interaction with families as much as we would if school was in session, we've made, in some cases, greater connections with families with our weekly communication and with some of the communication that we've established to reach out to families. Looking and thinking about curriculum, we've had to really think a little bit deeper about what's most important and how we're going to deliver that information. And certainly, student mental health and staff mental health has been at the forefront of a lot of the decisions that we've been making. And because of the closure and because of this situation, we've had to think very carefully about how we want to make sure we support students and their mental health. And we've, again, come up with new and better ways to do that. So there were different elements of our remote learning process that we wanted to make sure we included when we, as we started to develop this plan and continue to roll it out. And the things that we wanted to make sure that we included that were most important to us were communication with families and with the community and with our students. We wanted to make sure that we were certainly transparent, but also sharing information as quickly and as accurately as we can. Another component that was really important to us was teacher and student interaction. Knowing that teachers and students weren't going to have face-to-face interaction on a daily basis like they would in school, we wanted to make sure that we supported that continually. So we had to think about ways to do that in order to maintain that interaction and that communication. And the third piece is instruction. Probably one of our greatest challenges is to develop ways to continue to deliver meaningful, quality learning remotely. You know, we had to consider things like materials and content. How are we going to deliver that? We wanted to make sure that we were supporting students socially and emotionally. We had to think differently about how to provide evaluation and feedback. So students were going to be submitting work. How were we going to help them grow from that work and give them feedback around that work? We certainly wanted to make sure that we were continuing to support students with disabilities. Students with disabilities have specific needs that are supported with services in the school building, and we wanted to make sure that those students continue to receive that level of service outside of the building. So we had to be very creative about that. And then the last piece, but probably the piece that has risen to the top for a lot of different reasons, is technology access. The access that our students have in school is very comprehensive, and we wanted to try to make sure that we mirror that at home as well. One of the items that we've worked on quite a bit in the district for the last few years is to continue to develop student and teacher toolboxes. And what I mean by that is that there are a large variety of tools available on the internet that do lots of different things. And what was important to us was to make sure that our students and our teachers have a core set of tools that will help them to teach and to learn. And fortunately, we have been working with G Suite, or with the Google Education Suite, for the last few years. And many of these tools were already familiar to our students and to our staff. Some of them were tools that were new, and so we've supported teachers and students with learning those tools. But I think one of the positive outcomes of this situation is that all of us, students, I think parents, and I would say staff, are all going to come out of this situation with more tools in our toolbox, which I think is an important piece to note. We've distributed several Chromebooks, or many Chromebooks, to our students. So through our Rater one-to-one Chromebook initiative that we started a few years ago, where we were fortunate that students in grades 7 through 12 already were assigned Chromebooks and had Chromebooks at home that they were able to use at school and at home when school closed. So we had approximately 550 Chromebooks already out in the community for students. Since closure, we have distributed approximately another 450 to students in grades K through 6 who needed them. I think we were in a good position as a district in terms of student access to devices because of the support of the community and the Board of Education during the last few years to help establish our Rater one-to-one program. I think that put us in a good position. None of us certainly anticipated that school was going to be closed and we were going to need Chromebooks for that, but it has certainly served us well for us. Another item that I mentioned before that I'll share is that we've paid very close attention to our student and our faculty social emotional health. And our mental health teams in the district have met regularly and have developed many resources, videos, and ways to share information with students and their families about how parents can support their students and how students can use some coping skills to kind of manage not being connected to their peers directly, not being connected to their school and their staff and all of the abrupt change that happened. So looking ahead with technology, you know, I have to commend the community and the Board of Education and the school district and staff as a person who has overseen technology in the district for 5 years now. The support has been the reason we were able to, I think, be as successful as we were with our remote learning program. So as a district, we're looking at other tools that might help students learn differently if we have to continue a remote learning sort of setup. And we're also looking at tools that our staff can use to help engage students in that kind of learning and to help kind of maintain the momentum that we've started. So more information will be shared on that as we continue to develop those plans. Changing gears, I want to share some information about some positions that are a little bit new to the district and some changes for myself. So I will say I've been very grateful and it's been a pleasure to be at the district for the last 5 years in a few different roles. So I started my time in Canastota as the Director of Instructional Technology, one of my favorite jobs of all time, and certainly enjoyed that. And this year I took on some different responsibilities with special education and response to intervention. And it's been a great experience this year doing that. Talking for the last few months with Mr. BISSETTA and the Board of Education, we realized there's really an identified need for some instructional oversight and leadership at the district level. And so this summer I'm going to be transitioning to a different title. So I will be the Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Special Programs, and my responsibility will be primarily to oversee all of the components of district operation that are related directly to instruction. So I'll continue to play a role in technology, in special education, but also curriculum and instruction. And I'm very excited about that change in that position. When I started my career in education, that was the place that I saw myself going. I've always wanted to be very closely connected to curriculum and content, teaching and learning. And I'm very glad that I'll be able to start to really focus on that this summer. So in support of that change, the Board of Education thankfully has supported the development of some additional leadership roles in the district. So one of the positions that has been created is a position titled Assistant Director of Special Programs. And the position will be filled by a highly qualified person named Kathy Palladino. And Kathy will be starting to work in the district this summer. And Kathy's responsibilities will be in the PPS office, or the Special Education Department. Kathy brings a career's time of experience in special education as a school psychologist and a director of PPS and special programs. So she will bring a lot of knowledge, experience, and wisdom to the Special Education Department in terms of leadership. I'm confident that the families that work directly with our special ed staff and our PPS department are going to really enjoy meeting with Kathy and getting to know her this summer and in the coming school year. So please join me in welcoming her and congratulating her. The other person is that I'd like to introduce to you is Karen Henner. Karen is going to be transitioning into a new position called Director of Instructional Support. So Karen is not brand new to the district. Karen started working in the district this past school year as an interim administrator and has filled a number of needs in the administrative level this school year. Going into next year, she will be closely connected to instruction as well, and providing support to teachers in the form of professional development and teaching and learning, as well as a number of other responsibilities. So again, I hope you will join me in welcoming them to the district this summer, and hope you have an opportunity to meet with them or meet them and get to know them well. I think they're both highly qualified individuals, and I'm excited to have them as a part of our administrative team. So with that, I'm going to thank everyone for their time and attention, and wish you well, and hope that you enjoy your weekend and your summer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Clancy, for that update. We will continue to preview goals and initiatives related to our instructional program in the coming weeks. There are many exciting things that we look forward to sharing with you on this subject. Now we'll pivot once again to bring you an update on the highly unusual budget process. Please remember, we are just days away from a very important vote for the school district. Our business manager, Nick PANUCCIO, will give us the latest up-to-date information on the vote. Nick, please bring us up to speed.
Happy Friday, Canastota. My name is Nick PANUCCIO, and I am the business manager. I wanted to remind everyone that the absentee ballots for the budget vote must be received by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, June 9th. If you still have not mailed out your ballot, I would not put them in the mail anymore. They might not get here in time for us to have them counted. We have an absentee ballot drop-off box in front of the district office. Please drop off your ballots going forward in the event that we do not receive the ballots in time if they are mailed. Also, please keep in mind social distancing when dropping off the absentee ballots. In the event that the budget is defeated, there will not be a revote this year. We will be going into a contingency budget, which means we will need to make additional reductions of $327,000. This will be due to the inability to increase the tax levy from 2019-20 to 2020-21. I'm going to show you a 10-year projection on what will happen if we are unable to increase the tax levy. We do not need to only make reductions of $327,000 for next year. The same amount will be reduced every year going forward. The school district will be unable to make up for this reduction every year going forward. As you can see the reduction each year, please pay attention to the 10-year projection. This amount after 10 years will be approximately $3,274,000 of reductions. Cutting back on pens and pencils will not make up for this difference. We will have to make some tough decisions going forward. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Nick, for that update. As always, please ask Nick or me any questions related to the budget. And please remember that your vote must be at the district office by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, June 9th. Finally, I'd like to share a quick story about something that occurred just yesterday. Amidst the numerous year-end meetings transpiring, I had an opportunity to meet with a representative group of teachers from each of our buildings, Peterborough, Southside, Robert Street, and the junior-senior high school. Our purpose was to talk about what had worked well in our remote learning environment, to identify ways that we want to improve, and to discuss key issues moving into the new year impacting student learning. Did we discuss things that we want to improve? Absolutely. But the big takeaway for me was this. We spent much of our time talking about solutions and potential opportunities to provide even better opportunities for our students. I have no doubt that these challenging circumstances have provided us with lessons that we will use to become better, and we will not miss this opportunity to learn from the adversity of the last 3 months that will make us better than ever going into the future. The fact that we have professional educators focused not just on identifying problems and obstacles, but more importantly, of sharing ideas that will allow us to collectively improve, reinforces the fact that our school is up to the challenge of whatever lies ahead, that we will not be satisfied with just getting by, but are committed to getting collectively better every day. So I thank my colleagues for reminding me once again why we are and will continue to be the hometown of champions. Have a great weekend. Please remember to vote if you haven't already done so, and go Raiders.